I think for every Christian, this is a really a special place. Listen, I mean, you touch the stones, you walk on the ground. This is where he walked. This is where he stood.
Beneath the Church of the Cock, where Peter denied knowing Jesus, is the grotto.
Jesus spent his last earthly night here.
It's the place Christians believe Jesus Christ spent his last night before the crucifixion.
This place is very sacred.
Our guide is Avi Shemesh. He works for the Jerusalem office of Arlington, Texas-based Discovery Ministries, revealing for us the secrets of the Holy Land. It's sacred to Christians.
Oh Lord my God, by day I cry out. At night I clamor in your presence.
But also the source of much of the conflict between Muslims and Jews.
Let my prayers come before you. Incline your ears to my call for help.
For Jews, the most holy place is the Wailing Wall, all that's left of the first two temples. The first, built on Mount Moriah by King Solomon, it once held the tablets on which the Ten Commandments had been given to Moses. Supported by the Wailing Wall is the Dome of the Rock and the Al-Aqsa Mosque. They occupy the spot where the Jewish temple once stood, the same place Muslims believe their prophet Muhammad ascended to heaven. Unable or unwilling to share control of this holy place, Muslims and Jews fight over it instead. Muslims rioted here after Ariel Sharon marched at the mosque to prove it's under Israeli control. 18 months later, the fighting has spilled over to Manger Square in nearby Bethlehem. But with these exceptions, all the other holy places remain untouched. Each Friday, Christian pilgrims still follow the Via Dolorosa, the path Christ carried his cross to crucifixion. And inside the church, where they believe Christ ascended to heaven, the priests and nuns outnumber the tourists. And at the Garden of Gethsemane, we found no tourist at all.
They like to sing the song, I come to the garden alone, when the dew is still on the roses.
But these days, the gardener tending the roses is about the only person one sees.
But God provides. I have a full confidence in him. It will be okay.
Shemesh knows of no tourists being injured visiting the holy sites, which remain as compelling as ever. But until tourists again feel Jerusalem is safe, it will remain a tourist Mecca, most viewed from a distance. Gary Reeves, Channel 8 News, Jerusalem. Welcome to suburban life Palestinian style, where children play soccer on streets where hours earlier, Israeli tanks roamed. This is the suburban home of Fawaz Badwadi, a former University of Texas at Arlington accounting student whose children are growing up angry.
She said, Baba, Yahud, Yahud, she means Jewish, are coming to kill us. They are killing Arab.
Fawaz explained by taking us on a tour of downtown. In the heart of Nablus, the Palestinians' biggest city, the tallest buildings have bomb damage, and the small shops on the streets below struggle to stay open.
They destroyed everything. He's not selling anything. He lost everything here.
Beneath tons of dangling rubble, the yarn once for sale here smolders in the street. Around the corner, a butcher posts a sign in Arabic. It says, they destroy, we rebuild.
We will do anything in order to make this country, and get our rights.
Posters honor those killed in Israel's battle against terrorism. But in Nablus, they call the Israelis the terrorists. The fighters are heroes. But they say most of the dead were civilians.
How many of these people do you think are fighters?
There are 20 fighters here in this picture. The others are civilian people. I know this man very, very good because he's the friend of my relative.
The Israeli government says the reason for this latest invasion was to make violence stop. But in towns like Nablus, it's tough to find anyone who thinks they've done anything but make matters worse.
There is no Palestinian army. There is no Palestinian guys to struggle. Just rockets over the civilian people here.
This father of four still lives in the home, he says, American-made rockets destroyed for no reason.
He didn't fight.
In the future, will you fight?
فين في المستقبل عندك الاستعداد انك تقاتلهم؟
أقاتل الظلم.
He is ready to fight till he gets his rights.
The army protects the rights of Israelis living in the hilltop settlement nearby, but soldiers won't let any Palestinians leave Nablus. Fawaz says they won't let him go to his leather factory either, so now he's unemployed.
It is very, very bad life. I think this is better than this life.
And now his 10-year-old son talks about blowing himself up in Israel.
Believe me, he said that. And I make problem with him. I told him, why? Why? The future is good. You will live a good life.
This father says the future will have to be better, since the present is the worst he's seen in 35 years. Gary Reeves, Channel 8 News, Nablus.
So he says, V'chi ben emesit ben aven. No mesit, who can explain me that?
We live it, we breathe it, we eat it, and this is what our lives are based around.
How are we learning that? How we understand that, okay?
Men sit here for 8 hours a day studying.
For hundreds of young Jewish Americans, including Sam Fine of Dallas, a year of study in Israel is supposed to be devoted to learning the religion.
So let's try to see the answer.
These are traditions that we've had for over 2,500 years. These are the laws that we live by.
But there is something special in the language.
About 100 young men live here at Yeshivat Yerushalayim, but in a country battling waves of suicide bombings.
It scares you. It's very scary.
They're now learning about both faith and fear.
And the question is, how are we learning that?
There was actually a kid that went to school here who was hurt in one of the Ben Yehuda bombings. And, you know, that affected us a lot. You know, he was a friend of ours, he was hurt.
One bomb after another bomb.
So on Tuesday, when a suitcase bomb killed at least 15 in Israel, a mother's heart in Dallas started racing.
When I hear about a bombing, yes, I'm absolutely scared.
This mother of three is a trained psychotherapist, so Pam Fine managed to remain calm, in part because she won't give her son permission to leave his school's campus.
Not yet, really.
He's not going to leave at all.
The school is in a small rural town, the kind of place that has generally been considered safe from terrorism. At least it was until Passover. That's when the most deadly suicide bomb blew up in a small town hotel. Sam Fine was back in the United States for the holiday.
We were horrified. We were terrified. We cried. It was devastating.
And it was hard for his family to let him return.
It was tough. At first I was thinking, you know, I don't really want to go back now because it just seems too dangerous.
But ultimately we all decided that it was best that he go back.
Tough decision coming back, but I think it was a good choice.
To demonstrate his confidence in Israel and his willingness to stand with the Israelis.
It is the country that draws students here, history and heritage. But they aren't getting to see as much of it as students in years past. Security is so tight the students mostly stay on campus and entertain each other. Sam Fine doesn't feel brave about staying here, but he does feel proud.
I want to support the country, give as much money and time to the country as I can, and learn about Jewish values at the same time.
There's no better place to be than Israel at this time, which is really what a lot of the students feel.
Gary Reeves, Channel 8 News, Bet Shemesh, Israel.
Okay, that's the answer. Right, Sammy?
Not far from the gleaming beaches outside Tel Aviv, project in front of Helen Motro's home is stalled by a prehistoric discovery.
Byzantine graves. That's a bone of a human being?
Outsiders are not surprised to find 2,000-year-old Byzantine artifacts in this ancient land.
Is this a burial urn then?
What's more startling is the crew from the Antiquities Commission. Israeli Jews and Arabs working together.
That's okay with me.
To Helen Motro, this is Israel as it should be.
That's fantastic.
But most of the time, this New York native writes about Israel as it is.
This is an Arab baby. She was wounded by an Arab suicide bomber. How it affects one's heart. Two of the people that were killed were two foreign workers from China. How it affects one's soul. The dead are only headlines for one day. How it affects one's way of living, because we have so many dead. What I write about is the tragedy of the peoples living here now.
Writing for the Jerusalem Post, her columns win awards and get published all over the world.
At first, I stared with the rest of the horrified world at the photo of the anonymous Palestinian father holding his anonymous Palestinian son.
Only the father wasn't anonymous to her. His name was Jamal.
Father wounded, son dead.
He'd helped rebuild her house and hung up her diplomas. His son wore her hand-me-downs.
I actually called Jamal in the hospital. It was so unbelievable. He said to me, "And how is your family?" That's what he said to me, after his son had just been killed. And I said to him, "Jamal, and what do you wish for your children now?" He said, "What do I wish for my children? Like, what I would wish for all the children in the world, that there would be all good things and nothing bad." And you know, by that time I was clearly crying on the phone, and then the line went dead.
Motro remembers when peace felt imminent.
It says shalom in Hebrew, which means peace.
In 1995, she drove that car to this peace rally, where Nobel Prize-winning Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin was killed.
An Israeli student is in custody. He has allegedly confessed to killing Rabin. He told police he was acting on God's orders.
She calls his killer the last happy man in Israel.
He didn't want to only kill Rabin, the man. He wanted to kill the peace process, and he might have done it.
The cycle of Palestinian terror and military response that have become Israel's routine leave this entire nation frustrated.
Hatred breeds hatred. So the only thing that can work is not violence. Maybe that won't work. I don't know. But that's our only hope.
But like her old sticker, Helen Motro's hope has yet to fade.
And that sticker says peace. When there's really peace, then I'm going to change it.
In this ancient land where the wars have lasted centuries, they have yet to wash away the hope for peace. Gary Reeves, Channel 8 News, Kfar Shamaru, Israel.